Yeah, Pacific's going to get blasted on this. You watch. Nothing will evoke emotion more in America today, 2024, than making any comments that anger dog owners. But that's okay. America is in a state of sickness with their pet obsession. Years ago, when I lived in Hong Kong, I had done a video called America's Pet Obsession, and it attracted the attention of a Canadian or an African Canadian woman. Very nice lady. She did videos on makeup and hair. She heard my video. She loved it, reached out to me. Was dating a white guy, had a very close relationship, but she did not go for the dog. She didn't go for the dog smell, the dog hair. And she told him, I know this dog is important to you, but I love you, but I'm just not into this dog. Are you willing to get rid of the dog for me? And he did. The wise choice. I said, you know what? That man loves you more than his pet. Before we get going on this story that I saw this morning on the feed when you hit the news, actually, I'm going to say it, a Pico Rivera woman and her two dogs were killed taking a walk out in risky weather, got struck by lightning, and all three of them were taken out. Yes, that's sad. I'm not mocking somebody's death. I wouldn't do that. This could happen to me. This could happen to any one of us. My biggest fear in the United States, though, is every time I get in my truck, is the people in this country don't know how to drive. They are reckless today in all 50 states. They have no regard for traffic laws. They have no regard for speed limits. They don't know what a turn signal is. They don't know what space cushion, aka following distance is. People are very rude in this country, and people don't like it when I say this, because people that break the law are going to hear my video and say, "Wow, this guy's negative," or mock or laugh, and they're really going to get mad when I strike the match about dog owners and their immature mental illness of obsession with fur babies. It has gotten epidemic. And I'm going to put them on blast. Now, I don't know this woman. I'm sure the family and friends are grieving, and I understand that. Getting struck by lightning is not a fun way to go. And I have to be careful when I talk about Christian faith. Apparently, this woman had a Bible in her car. That doesn't necessarily mean anything. A lot of people read the Bible, a lot of people have it. Their Christianity, I've said this before, you go into most churches, they won't even speak to you. But they're all about Jesus. I don't know this woman. I don't know every detail. But you're walking out in severe weather and you get taken out by a lightning strike. Yikes. But what disturbed me is on the YouTube video is the comments. The comments about what a tragedy it was, not only for the loss of a human being, which that is a tragedy, but the two dogs. As a pet owner, this is a heartbreaking story. A dog licks its butt, drinks out of the toilet, smells, eats dead things. Its tongue is a petri dish of bacteria. I loved dogs when I was a kid. But America, you can be offended. That's okay. I'm offended at dog owners. I've always been offended. Every place I've lived, there's always some idiot with dogs that barks and yaps and barks. And it's like the staccato, irritating, incessant, nonstop pet owner dog that for some reason it doesn't bother them to hear rap, 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 and I want to get a gun and go, something wrong with the dog, put it out of its misery. No, I wouldn't do it. I want to, but it's illegal. That pet owners are insensitive to me as a human being, to me who gets up very early in the morning, and my sleep and my quality of life is severely hampered in my home with the windows shut. You pet owners are a special breed of jerkosauruses. Not all of you, but a lot of you. A huge amount of you. When I lived in Colorado, pet obsession is huge there. People letting their dogs run loose on a public trail, there's a leash law. Letting them poop everywhere, there's a pick up after your pet law. They shut down Jefferson County, Colorado, shut down an open space park because it was a doggy park. The responsible adults that brought their dogs let the dogs crap and defecate everywhere that it got so bad that Jefferson County officials shut it down. These are people that buy their SUVs and their Subarus and have their LL Bean attire and their I love my dog and their the big dog decal on the back with the tail being the wiper and all those stupid, immature little stickers. Watch dog lover and the way they drive. When I drove a school bus, they go right through my stop sign and go like this when I honk the horn. Dog lovers, women. America doesn't like to hear these kinds of videos. They anger these people. They ignore the heart of what I say. Dog lovers are a special breed of mentally ill people. In the Bible, a dog was considered unclean. Okay. And I don't believe that having a dog is a sin. I think that pets, in their proper perspective, can be fun for kids. They can be fun for adults. But when we put pets to the point of ignoring 61 million abortions in this country, and watch the pet owners guffaw on that. Oh, those aren't the same. Oh, really? Killing 61 million children in the name of choice. But let's talk about something that happened in the Denver area years ago. I don't have dates handy with me, but there was a gentleman who worked. He lived next door to a couple that had toy poodles, and they barked incessantly. He did the neighborly thing, went and talked to them, and dog owners, being the special kind of rude that they are, did absolutely nothing. Anybody that knows Pacific knows that I've had endless years of problem. I took a woman recently, actually a couple years ago, to court in the neighborhood who had 3 dogs jumping her fence, running into my yard, bringing pants, trash, garbage, yapping incessantly. The house is burned up inside. She's living in a travel trailer. She has done little or almost nothing to get that house ready. The house is condemned. You can't live in a travel trailer, but there's all kinds of special crazy stuff going on in our world. We're not going to talk about that right now, but the judge basically told her, you better do something about the dogs. 3 months after she was told that in court, while the dogs continued to raise hell, she finally began to do something. The daughter took the 2 red fox-looking dogs and the pit bull still kenneled up outside. That dog is whack. If it's out of that kennel, it will just stand there. I do not like irresponsible dog owners. I have no respect for them. They will criticize me. I don't care. When you, as an American, have arrived at the lowest point on the human spectrum of caring more for a dog than other people, Your neighbors. The Bible says, love your neighbor as yourself. How are you loving your neighbor when you allow your yappy little monster to hold everybody in a neighborhood hostage? I've said years ago when I lived in Colorado, thank God I've been delivered from that state. Women in their expensive SUVs, Starbucks in one hand, dog on the lap in the other. I have a walk sign. It comes out. I start my projected path in the crosswalk, and here comes a woman in an SUV with dog hanging out the side, that close to hitting me, turning in front of me. But let a man walk up and smack that dog or grab it by the ears. She wants capital punishment for that man. Never mind that she almost ran me over with a 4,000-pound unnecessary expenditure. And I've said it and I'll say it again. SUVs are driven by assholes. Go anywhere in this country, you'll see it every day. Speed limit, what the hell is that? Courtesy, you got to be kidding. SUVs are marketed to a special kind of immature, well-to-do. They serve no useful purpose. I grew up in the era, you have a car or you have a pickup truck. Pickup trucks have become designer status. I still use my truck as a utilitarian vehicle. And I'm about ready to buy a military truck because I've had it with the way people drive. And I was rear-ended, had a dent put in my bumper on an F-150. It said, I'm not even safe in a pickup. It's time to buy a deuce and a half and let these dog owners and idiots hit the back of that, smash their car, and I'll get out and go. I'm good. Have a nice day. Sucks to be you. I'll sign the police report that they hit me and I'll go on. This is a sad world we live in. I'm more concerned about danger to my life every time I get in my truck. I drove school buses for years. I no longer. And people that are obsessed with pets are some of the stupidest people on the road. Adopt a shelter pet, support the Humane Society, all their little license plate frames. I love it how Americans get behind a cause. I support the cure for breast cancer. I want to put, you should support safe driving. But there's always been a disconnect between what Americans model and what they believe. There's always been a lack of priorities when doggy takes center stage all over the back of your car, but then you drive like an asshole. Kind of tells me a lot about you. I don't believe in abusing animals. I don't. And many people are going to get on here and say, you are so insensitive. The woman died. Oh my gosh. I know. Not supposed to comment on that, right? Let me tell you something, dog owners. When I die, none of you guys will care. None of you will care. Your heartlessness about the rest of us who don't agree with you, the rest of us who are perfectly fine with an animal, but you can't control it. You don't care about your neighbors. The Bible even says, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. But dog owners seem to think they have a privilege and an undeniable right to be assholes and do whatever they want. And you play the game of calling animal control. And, you know, I did that in Colorado. They come out, the dog isn't barking. I remember years ago renting, and a lady bought a home. The dad actually bought the home. And I mean, the minute they moved in, property, their yard is 10 feet outside our bedroom. I was married then, and my wife and I both said, oh, that's got to stop. I did the neighborly thing, talked to them. A week later, nothing had changed. I finally called the dad, and his comment was, it's a dog. Dogs bark. Wow. Thanks for that deep insight. Okay, but your dog is disturbing us. I've said a lot about Americans, and people who take the time to get to know me will tell you I'm a hard worker, I'm a nice guy, I have a heart. People listening to a YouTube video on a subject like this are going to get volatile. The fact you get so angry that somebody criticizes pet owners and their obsession is proof that I'm striking a chord. Only in this country have things gotten so ridiculous, but it's been exported globally. When I lived in Hong Kong, China, I was shocked to see in a paper that they actually had a Hong Kong dog funeral home. I'm like, oh my gosh, how far does this ridiculous go? I had a friend who lived in Florida and they were building a dog spa where doggies can swim in pools and get massages and fur treatments and everything else. They have a pet cemetery in Commerce City, Colorado. Folks, and to have my opinion with the immature, mentally ill OCD pet crowd is going to incur the wrath of Khan. Americans have become so rude and so disconnected that they've become inward and inverted, that they call a dog their fur baby, their children. I suppose if you believe in evolution, I guess you believe that a dog somehow came from you. Okay. I don't believe in evolution. I think that's a bunch of hooey from a Darwinian disillusioned man who had a problem with the fact there was suffering in the world. But let me tell you something about that one. Most of the suffering in the world that I see comes from idiots that don't care about other people's right to quiet in their home, aka dog owners. And they can say all day long what they want. It's the same thing about cyclists in Colorado. They have no respect for traffic laws. They sail through red lights, sail through crosswalks, almost hitting pedestrians, businessmen, men, women, or children. They go through the stop sign. When I drove school bus out there for Denver schools, they sail through it, almost hit kids. You honk, they go like this. It's funny how everybody's such a man in this country as they're fleeing or going the other way. Let them hit a kid, and their life is going to be just, well, ruined. A woman was killed walking her dog the other day in the LA area, Pico Rivera. I lived in LA. I never even heard of that area. I grew up in Torrance. Don't know every detail, but you're walking out, there's lightning and storm clouds roiling, and I find it hard to not have a question mark that somebody, a woman that everybody, of course, everybody, she's so this and that and saving money and has her Bible and pretty harsh way to go, dogs included. We need to be careful. There's always been that old-fashioned view where people think that when somebody's taking out in such a way that God must have been angry at them. We got to be very careful. But a lightning strike hitting her and the two dogs, yikes. The Bible says that God directs the paths of lightning. That's what it says. So if he directs the paths, then he sovereignly removed her. Just something to consider. Years ago, when George Floyd, one of the biggest non-heroes ever of our time, a criminal, held a gun to a pregnant woman's belly, robbing her, and not one peep from the African American community. And you don't hear a peep from the African American community about the violence put on black women by black males. And there's nothing, there's no parades, there's no demonstrations, there's nothing. When George Floyd was killed by fentanyl and COVID-19, you have to say that so we don't get the YouTube censorship police stickers. The original coroner report determined why he died. He did not die from a knee to the neck. That is a procedure that's been used by the police, contrary to what the public seems to know, was authorized and okay by the Minneapolis PD and no longer now. But a mural was made, I believe it was on the wall of a very old brick building of Floyd. And the lightning did a direct hit on the face and exploded the bricks. You can find it on YouTube. And I'm like, boy, it's really funny that this building's been there 100+ years. And the lightning just happened to hit that side right detail in the face and exploded the wall off. I don't believe that everything is just a strange coincidence. Or like ELO's song, Strange Magic. I believe there's a sovereign God. I cannot say in this video that for a fact that God took her out. What I can say is my opinion. It seems pretty evident he did. The why? I don't know. What a way to go. Pretty harsh. But dog obsession. Are there consequences for our sins? Yeah. Is God in heaven going to? Now, the Bible does say something to the effect. There's something about the wise man cares for the needs of his animals. Now, I don't think that that was talking about the OCD of dog. I think it was talking about goats and livestock, that you don't abuse your animals, that you provide their food and stuff. God does not support animal abuse. But what pains me the most is reading the comments that people were as sad about the loss of 2 dogs as they were of a Hispanic female. I find that disturbing. Those same people are quiet about abortion. Those same people are very quiet about abortion. 61 million children killed. That's more than Adolf Hitler killed in World War II. Stalin, Lenin, and Mussolini. And Americans, they just blow it off. But let there be a story in the news about somebody abusing a dog. Oh my gosh. Watch the anger. A dog. Watch people in America slam on the brakes. Women, men, for a dog running loose in the street. Watch me step into a crosswalk with the walk sign and watch men or women, Americans, endanger me with their SUV or big pickups and come within an inch of my body. And I have taken the flat of my hand and I went, wham. Then they want to stop. Did you hit my truck? Oh, really? I said, I didn't damage it, but yes, I did. You get that close to me. Dumbass. There's something wrong in this country when Americans can do whatever they want in their truck or car and nearly run me down in a crosswalk with the slam on the brakes for a squirrel or a dog. I was riding with a city bus driver in Duluth, Minnesota years ago. So, man, a woman was in front of me. A squirrel came out. She slammed on the brakes so hard. He said, I have my following distance. I almost rear-ended her. Women are not bright when they're doing stuff like that. Look in your mirror and look what's behind you. By the way, the women will love this. I don't currently, but in Colorado, I trapped at least 100 squirrels a month for the elder couple that asked me to do it when I was the caretaker of their estate. highly destructive rodents, tree rats. I used to think they were cute. They eat up wiring. They go up underneath new cars and chew the wiring because the smell bothers them. They go into the soffits of the house. They eat up your wiring and can start a fire. When America gives more compassion and heart to vermin, to dogs, of all the creatures of the world. Now, I didn't support that clown that went from Wisconsin, the dentist that went over to Africa and took out a big, well known lion. I thought that was disgusting. I believe we need to care for our world. But it's funny that the dog owners don't have the same care for 61 million aborted children. And they glibly say choice. When Greenpeace is shooting at Japanese ships to save a whale. And what are Greenpeace people saying? That a human life is not as important as a whale. That's what happens when you believe in devolution, the devaluing of human life. So it's the survival of the dog lovers. Dog lovers have more rights to trample mine. I pay taxes on my home and I got to listen to Yappy. So the toy poodles in Colorado, there was a story that hit I believe it's the Rocky Mountain News, which was in publication then the Denver Post, ran the story on this. And of course, people in Colorado, being the OCD pet people they were enraged at what had transpired. The man had talked to them, got nowhere. He did protocol, and finally it just wouldn't end. So he did vigilante justice. He took some hamburger meat, rolled it in some antifreeze, and rolled those balls of meat under the fence, and the dogs slopped them up. Well, the dogs had some problems, went to the vet, and they found out there was antifreeze in them. And they charged this guy next door. And I said, you know what? When the authorities don't do anything, when the people who own the dogs don't do anything, I'm going to stand on the side of the guy that was wronged. But America doesn't do that. America punishes people when they have their buttons pushed so much. And this country had better pay attention to something. This current administration, this current stupid cultural wokeness, keep pushing. And people are going to rise up and they're going to say enough's enough. When I dealt with kids on the bus, I don't just bust the kid who swatted at somebody else. When I hear a boy egging somebody on, I said, man, leave her alone. And keeps doing it. And she goes, she hit me. Yeah, you're sitting there calling her the B word over and over, dude. And I told you to stop. And I told you to move your seat, and you won't. Not only do you got to write up, but you are provoking her. And Americans do that. You dog owners, you need to have understanding that not everybody loves your dog. They can respect your right to pet ownership, but if you be a good neighbor and control and train your dog and bring it in and not let it bark incessantly, be a neighbor. But if you can't, and you got selfish, narcissist women and men that let their dogs yap all day and all night, you're an idiot. You are a heartless idiot. And all you do is you provoke people to start thinking, you know, how can I find a way to remove this problem? And a man in Colorado had had enough, but he gets in trouble. Not the irresponsible pet owners. And only in America do pet owners have more rights than I do. That selfish, entitled women can murder their child under the guise of choice. Choice. Choice for the child in the womb, right? You can't argue with fools, and that's all we've got in this country. We have some good ones, but they're being silenced. They're losing their rights. Just like the Missouri couple that stood out. Now, this is interesting. The Missouri couple that had a mansion, their yard, their property is broken into, a wrought iron fence was destroyed for a crowd to rush in and surround their house. They had done nothing wrong. This was all the George Floyd spinoff. And they're surrounded by angry protesters when they were trying to make dinner. They come out on the veranda outside their house armed. They didn't shoot anybody. On their property, they were arrested and tried by a black liberal DA who had an axe to grind. The protesters were shouting, "We're going to burn your house down. We're going to kill you. We're going to burn your dog." Now, hold on there. Where were the dog owners out there screaming? That couple was unfairly charged. That was not a justice system. That was a bully system. And I'm gonna refrain from commenting on that because I've done many videos on that. That couple did nothing wrong. And there's something wrong in America where you can come up in a full force onto somebody's property, break and enter, threaten to burn their house down, and they're not supposed to do anything? Who came up with that crap? In Georgia, here where I live, you come onto somebody's property with intent, you're going to get dropped. Almost everybody down here owns a gun. You don't walk up on somebody's property without prior consent or permission. And if you got bad intentions, there was a man down in the Macon area, black man, 3 black teens came up to harass him on his property. He dropped them all. He was not charged. That's good. He shouldn't be. But in America, people who are not into the sound of barking dogs, they have no rights. You got to play the game of calling animal control 9,000 times and document. 3 years of this stuff. And a judge won't even look at it when you bring it to him. Stupid. When Americans are walking their life with wisdom and go to work and pay their bills and minding their own business, and they got to hear the staccato yappity yap of a dog, I start to view pet owners as poison. Pet owners, not everybody wants to hear that. And you're lucky I'm not a dictator, because I would tell people, no more dogs in residential neighborhoods. You guys can't control yourself. You can't control your animals. I don't care what pet owners say. I've heard so much criticism all my life, been judged. I don't care. Irresponsible pet owners, and notice I said irresponsible because there are responsible pet owners, and I have no issue with them. When you don't care about your neighbors or anybody else's right, and you think that you can do whatever you want and disturb people, you're an asshole. And all you do is anger people. And if you push the buttons hard enough, somebody could snap. Somebody could take it to the next level. And the sad thing is that America will go after the guy that took it to the next level, not the idiot who antagonized the whole mess. And I got an issue with that. When people say there's no justice, it ain't kidding. There's no justice for good people anymore. I believe people that have pets ought to go to a training class that they pay for, that they pay the city or the state, that you will not allow your dogs to bark incessantly. You will not leave them in the yard to bark all day and all night. You will not let them run loose. And that I should have the right when they are in my yard for me to go, it's my property. I come out my back door a few years ago and all three of these dogs in my yard barking at me. I could have taken a shovel and taken them all out right there. And I should have. And I should have thrown them in my truck and went a few blocks around the corner of the swamp and said, here, gators. Nobody would have known. But did I? No. The pet owners that do that stuff are idiots. And I don't like you. And you will stand before God one day, as will I, and give an account for mine and your sins. And God is not going to smile at you and go, oh, you had such a cute little doggy. When I see grown women, when I would walk in Colorado and they won't even say hi or smile at me, but another one with a dog and they baby talk each other. And they're so obsessed with their dog. And as I'm walking on a public pathway shared by cyclists and others, and her dog leash comes straight across me, and the dog's trying to jump on me, and I put my hands up, like moving around it. I don't say anything. And they get irritated because I don't go, oh, what a cute poochie. People's dogs like me. They know I'm safe. I don't have a dog. I grew up with a mother who cared more about pets than she did us. The dogs would shit and poop and destroy things. My mother was abusive to my sister and I. And she had more understanding for a damn dog than she did us. Not okay. But again, just like SUV owners, just like Democrats, just like Black Lives Matters, you're talking to cults. Dog owners, the OCD Dog Owner Club is a cult. If you're not part of that cult, you're an enemy. You're a bad guy or woman. When a black woman in Canada laid it down with her boyfriend that she'd been dating for years, he chose to get rid of his dog. There's a man who has priorities. Go to the dating sites in the US and go look at women. They make sure and put their idolization of their pet. Then Christian women do it too. And if you don't like pets and you don't like my dog, don't even think about contacting me. Boy, just the way that's written sounds like the height of a well-adjusted female, doesn't it? Nah. Dog obsession is ridiculous. I don't know the woman who was killed, but how can I not have a question mark? Pretty severe way to be taken out. You and the dog's crispy critters. So, do I believe that Christians don't get struck by lightning? No. That's a pretty harsh way to go. Was the weather bad? Was she caught in it? I don't know. Could be. But my biggest comment here is all the comments on that YouTube video about the poor dogs. What about people that live around you? They pay their taxes, they keep their yards clean, they go to work, they're trying to do good to humanity, and you don't care that your shitty pet is keeping them awake. And I'm going to say something. You got a dog that doesn't stop barking, it barks at a leaf and it barks at absolutely nothing. Shoot it. But you can't. That's illegal. So go to the animal shelter and euthanize it because there's something wrong with it. If you are too lazy to train your dog, you shouldn't have one. What if I had a child over here throwing rocks at your windows? What if I had a dog who's shitting, or a son that's shitting his hand and threw it over your fence into your yard? Oh, you'd be calling the police on me, and the police would be quick to do something about it. But your dogs can run into my yard and I'm mowing and I step in it, dragging pants and trash in my yard, jumping the fence, barking at me in my driveway as I'm backing up my truck. And I get out of the truck and say, "Get out of here." And I chase them out. I would have had every right, in my opinion, to wipe those dogs off the planet. You've been in my yard. You're barking at me when I come out my back door. A pit bull? I should have taken the square-headed shovel and went whang. And these people that support this insanity got to hear the nasty things they would say about me that I would even say that. When you provoke people to wrath, you are a moron. And your fur babies and your children is a mental illness. I'm a human being, and if you don't put human beings higher on the food chain, you really are a doofus. And I don't support that. It's a tragedy that a woman was killed. I could care less about some dogs. Animals die every day. Que sera, sera. But when humans suffer at the hands of pet owners that are selfish and irresponsible, it's just like cigarette smokers. My mother grew up in the house. She and my dad smoked and smoked and smoked and smoked and smoked. Long car trips from Mammoth Lakes to LA, 300 miles to be exact, huffing and puffing all the way in a Honda. And I work up the nerve in fear. "Mom, could you please crack the window?" "Oh, Pacific, you're so intolerant." You ever notice the people that got an obsession and addiction, everybody else is wrong? I have a right to clean air, lady. I have a right to not listen to your dog. And I shouldn't have to wear earplugs in my house with the windows closed. You need to get control of your damn animal. If it's your child, then it's a rebellious kid and you need to do something about it. And it's ridiculous. Nowhere does the Bible endorse or teach that a pet is your child. Fur babies. And everybody I know that's into the dogs, the women especially, are the most immature on the planet. And there's been a growing move. You're seeing videos show up on Facebook now where young ladies have their shirt pulled up and the dog's licking between their breasts. Where a woman in Alabama was doing porn videos having sex with her dog, a white Caucasian female. And Caucasian females are putting peanut butter on their coochie and having their big, St. Bernard lick between their legs. I don't need to comment on how sick that is. I'm not against somebody having a pet. But when your pet becomes God over your life and to hell with your neighbors, something wrong with you. I will not and should not have to compete against a damn animal. I have a right to peace and quiet in my castle. And you always have those people that move into condos or townhomes or neighborhoods. Rup, 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 rup. Shut up, dog. You think we're going to have compassion for your pet when you're angering us and we come and talk to you nicely and you go like this? Pet obsession has become systemic in the church. Pastors now talking about their dogs and the women going, "Ee!" The United Methodist Church bringing animals in Denver, Colorado to bless the animals. What in God's name has happened to church? What in God's name has happened to fire and brimstone and man, you better turn or burn? Where is that? We're coddling toddler adults that need their teddy bears. This whole woke thing, putting dogs over aborted babies, putting dogs over my rights as a 58-year-old man in a neighborhood is not okay. I don't live my life in a way that's disturbing you clowns. Why are you living your life in a way that's disturbing not only me, but the entire block? You're a special kind of jerk. I have no respect for the obsession with dogs. It is ridiculous. Not to mention all the cats that run in my yard and sit in the back and shit and piss all day. Yellow tabbies, cats just roaming in my yard and use it as a cat box. Have I put out poison? No. Would I be vindicated if I did? Absolutely. When I was in Denver, I was taking care of a Korean girlfriend's place while she was gone, and I would water her lawn. There's an area called Washington Park, which is money. And I always notice that the money women have the dogs. And I will say that I like living in the hood because a lot of people don't want to be woke up all night. So it's a lot more quiet around here. And people have pit bulls all around here. I don't hear all that bullshit all night. We just have drive-by shootings 2 doors down. They unloaded 12 to 15 rounds. White women in middle-class neighborhoods and townhomes and condos, they make you want to get violent when their dogs are out of control and you tell them and they don't care. I've said it before, American women are the most selfish on the planet. I've lived overseas, I can say that. When a Filipino woman asked me in Hong Kong, she was watching a show, and I was renting a room in the flat from her, and she said, Michael, how come Westerners spend so much money on their dogs and act like it's God? And I said, you see that too, huh? I chased a woman over there that did not work out. But she had told me she gets the bills. She has to go and, domestic helper. She said that her employer paid more for the 2 dogs a month than she did her salary to work 15, 16-hour days, 6 days a week. They were Australians. I have all the evidence I need to stand on the truth. When you put an animal over the rights of other people, you're not morally right. You're not rational or sane. You're feelings driven only. And it just happens to feed into your innate selfishness. Putting dog paw stickers all over the back of your SUV, and then you can't even follow traffic laws. You want to talk about animal rights when you run through the stop sign on a school bus, when you come an inch from my body in a crosswalk? What the hell is wrong with you people? What is wrong with you pet owners? Down in Venezuela or wherever it was, they got things so bad they were eating their dogs down there. I wouldn't eat a dog. No. But I've said it before, the more comfortable people are, the more idiotic and rude and insensitive they become. I got mine. Screw you. You touch that person's dog. When you can't get anywhere, you take matters into your own hands. That dog owner will be queen over your life in the court system. They can provoke you. They can harass you. And let me say this, pet owners, your yapping dog is a form of harassment to me. And you should be prosecuted by the law. You should have the dog removed and incinerated. You should not be allowed to have a dog. But they need to take this all the way. When you drive like an idiot, you should not be allowed to operate a motor vehicle. But the US rewards stupid people. It gives them more rights, and they got the biggest support group. I'm taking on an issue here that puts me, remember when you did math equations? This is greater than, and it had the triangle. This is less than. I'm on the end of that point. And there's this big, giant, ever-growing American OCD fur baby crowd that would hear a video like this and say all kinds of nasty and hateful vitriol to me, which just proves my point. I'm supposed to be understanding and tolerant. It's interesting to note that in the Bible, Paul calls the Judaizers those dogs, those mutilators of the flesh. Now, God wants us to treat animals properly. But I'm going to say it again, pet owners, your obsession with your dog doesn't mean the rest of us should embrace it. How about if I buy that deuce and half? It's a pretty loud truck. How about at 2:00 in the morning, if you're my neighbor, I go, vroom, vroom, and make all that noise. You're going to be calling on me. But meanwhile, your dumb dog is yap, 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 yap. Anybody ever been by KB's Toys during the holidays and they got that little round table out with the little guardrails and they got that wind up or electronic dog that yap, 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 yap. I'm like, there's a toy you don't get your kid because I'm about to step on it. People think I hate animals. I don't. I had a dog wander to my yard after I bought my place. It was a pit bull mix. And it wouldn't leave my yard, and I was about to shoo it out. And as I walked in the backyard, the dog came down, crouched down with his tail wagging. I thought, oh, this poor thing's been abused. And I broke down and bought dog food for it, but I did not bring it in the house. I'm remodeling my place, and the dog laid between my truck and the front door on the mat every night. I come out, I'm like, wow, this thing isn't leaving. My yard isn't gated off. And I put up with that for a month. I put out water for it, some dog food. Then when I'd leave in the truck, the dog chased me all the way down to the highway, and I was concerned about getting it hit. I tried to train it. It would not stop doing that. So I put an ad up saying, dog showed up. And I really don't have the time to get a trifecta and deworm and fleas. That's $250. Has anybody ever paid attention to vet bills? They're as much as hospital bills on a human now. And let me throw in a fun thing for free. Wheat Ridge Rec Center, Colorado. If you want to meet some of the flakiest, self-centered, narcissistic, unteachable, uncorrectable females on the planet, go to Colorado. Some skinny toothpick, two-piece bikini laying on the top shelf. All the guys are lusting after her except me because I've seen these are a dime a dozen. Oh, my boyfriend, my cat, I had to take my cat to the vet. And it cost me over $1,000. And my boyfriend says, you ought to put the cat to sleep. And I'm laying on the wooden mat on the floor in a sauna, and I'm listening to this going, yeah, boyfriend's speaking truth. That's awful expensive for a cat. I kept my mouth shut. All those boys that wanted to eat dinner at the Y. Oh, here we go with the white knight simp syndrome. Oh, you should break up with him. Oh, that was the wrong thing to say. I have enough wisdom in a setting like that. I could have stood up and said, that man should leave your sorry ass. Bye. We men in America are idiots the way we cater to immature, juvenile, childish acting women. They care more about their cat or their dog. That's sick. That is a sickness. That is a mental illness. That is a mental disorder. Your man, lady, should come way above a pet. Same with you men. Your woman should come more than your pet. And if you women get on a dating site saying your dog is so important and then marry the damn thing and get the hell off the dating sites. I don't care what American women think of me. I've been told all my life their assessment of me. And that's okay because their assessment of me is wrong. I don't live the way most American people do. And I'm an American. I support our flag and our Constitution. And I support the right to people to believe whatever they want, even if it's dead wrong. But I don't support you bothering me in my house with your dumbass dog. And I don't support a culture of laws and a legal system where I can't do anything, but you've always got the upper hand. But meanwhile, 61 million children have been killed in the name of choice. But you'll scream and yell about animal cruelty. You'll scream and yell about a guy that's had enough of two toy poodles and rolled some antifreeze laced balls of meat under the fence. But not one of you will put up a reverse gear and say, you know what? That couple with those toy poodles antagonized this poor man. They should have had the dogs taken away. They should have been fined a lot of money and said, you can't do this to your neighbor. But I've noticed that the laws and the system, the politics, they don't care about us. They don't care about good people. They cater to the Hollywood mindset. They cater to the sports mindset. They cater to, if you're cool, you buy an SUV and drive like an asshole. They cater to the shit drag culture in our society, the thug life, the badass businessman that splashes everybody with the puddles, comes into the office and his coworkers say, how you doing? I'm doing well today. Let me show you the video of your boss driving like an ass out here. I learned a lot through the windshield of a school bus, and most people aren't worth 10 cents just based on the way they drive. And I've even gone as far as to say, a woman that drives the way I see these people drive, I will not date her. You can fool people with who you are until I see how you drive your car. You can say you're a Christian. You can say you're gay. You can say you're straight. You can say you're a Democrat. You say you're a Republican. If you can't drive right, you ain't worth pursuing on any level. But the dog owners, along with cyclists, are a special kind of assholes. When you scream, cyclists, share the road, but you blow through the stop sign and the red light, something ain't working up here. When pet owners who are responsible and neighborly, then I am going to care about your dog and you. But when you're an ass and you don't care about my sleep or my peace of mind, you cause me to be angry. You cause me to think horrid thoughts. Why would you do that? We live in a day and age where people are snapping. Now, I wouldn't do this, but what if somebody got tired of it, waited for you to come out in your SUV and went, and then plugged your dog? You might want to think about that because we're living in a different country today. Keep fucking with your neighbor. They might get to a point where it's like, you know what? I'll go to jail over that. Somebody loses their job and they can't afford life. They might decide to go out with a bang. No, I murdered her. I'll go to jail to take care of my health needs and my food. Yeah, I'll do it. Pet owners might want to think about what you're doing because the day's going to come in this country where that foolishness is going to come to an end. I promise you, because what I'm watching in this world now, the whole world's lost its mind. I got a lot more to say about that, but the world is changing so rapidly fast. I found a home for that dog, and I was very happy. But even when I was kind enough to care for it, but did not let it live in the house, Facebook friends, a lady says, "Wow, you let that dog live outside." I said, "Excuse me, this dog moved into my yard. I'm feeding it and caring for it, but it's not moving into my house. There are fleas and ticks and heartworm here. I'm not bringing all that in." I have been working on my yard and there is poison oak and ivy and who knows what back there. I've been advancing against the jungle and the cats and dogs that get in there piss and poop and pee. And I have gotten ringworm and tough acting Tinactin didn't work. I had to get blue star, something I never heard of. Let me tell you something, folks. Dogs are disgusting, and so are feral cats. And when you live in the hood, people get a dog and they abuse it, and the dog runs off, and they end up here. And I have no problem trying to find a home for a critter, but I got no patience for these women, especially because they're the biggest offenders. Dogs shit all over the back of their SUV as they drive like an asshole. You can't use your blinkers and you can't go the speed limit. You can't drive safe and you cut me off in a crosswalk with "I love my dog." Something's fucked. So, trying to be respectful that a life was taken out in a lightning strike. Maybe she didn't have these dogs or she didn't put so much emphasis on the dogs. Maybe she'd still be alive. In fact, probably would. So somebody's willing to invest in dogs and gets taken out by a lightning strike. I don't think that's a very wise person. And I'm sure I'm going to get feedback and flack. I ignore most of it because I've already seen the dog owners and their brains aren't working properly. You have given me years of negative behavior by you, and somebody needs to speak up. And I'm not the only one, there's others. Women that value dogs more than people. Guys, don't play the fool. Don't throw your dignity in a waste management dumpster. Get away from that kind of a female and run. Run. You want a woman who loves you. You want a woman who's willing to put you over a poochie. And if she don't put you over a poochie, please, for the love of God, don't go after her coochie. This is specific. Signing off.